Hey everyone, Micha here and welcome back on the channel to a new Hell Let Loose video. In today's video, we are going through the changes that happened on Sainte Marie Du Mont map with recently released update 10. More specifically, we are going through main locations from previous version of the map to see how these same locations look after overhaul. We are also going to check out old map locations on which capture points have been created for new map and compare them. And all of this we're going to do it moving from south parts of the map up to northern parts, checking out old version of the map first. For the sake of the video length, I'm going to speed up in-game footage just a bit. And so we're starting here with old capture point of Southern Fields, just south of the town, which was quite an open place with not a lot of hard cover except for this old stone wall. On newer version of the map, this is not a capture point anymore and it is located very close to the edge of the map. Stone wall is still there and it is much longer, and wheat field has been replaced with lots of trees. Next up is the field capture point. On new map and on old map there was nothing special about it, as you can see. It was an empty place beyond playable area. On the new map, this is something completely else, with few trench lines separated with hedgerow, and a multiple buildings that can provide hard covers for defenders. And now we are moving into the town itself, and I believe you know how this place looked before overhaul, because even if it wasn't a capture point, it was a place where some intense fighting took place if there was any other nearby capture point active. As I'm going here around the church, take a look at how things look in the older version of this map before we compare it to newer version. On the newer map, Sainte Marie Du Mont town has become a capture point, and if we compare it to previous version, the town feels much wider, probably because the rubbles from half-demolished buildings are gone, streets are cleaned, and the buildings are all in one piece. And as we're going around the church again, if you spot anything I missed here or along the video, let me know that in the comments down below. For the next one, we are moving northeast along the main road out of the town to an old capture point that was named Sainte Marie Du Mont, where we have 3 buildings connected by a big wall and a lot of open space around it, so this cap point, from my experience, was not easy to capture. After overhaul, this same spot now seems to be much bigger, with here and there broken wall all around and trenches outside. This of course is not a capture point anymore, and with town being much bigger now, this spot is now the actual beginning of the town looking from northern side. With the next location, we have finally found a capture point from the old map that is still a capture point on the new map. On old map, this objective was named Town Outskirts, and it included lots of hedgerows all around so you could sneak up on defenders, or as defender, you could set up an ambush. Right on the point, there was a small trench network with one lonely building for scouting. With updated version, this capture point is renamed as AA Network, And rightfully so, because trench network in this one is huge. So it provides a lot of hard cover even from artillery unless it's a direct hit, and also provides a good spot for placing down spawn points. And I didn't even mention the buildings that grew up here with update 10 from where you can scout and of course hide inside. For the next location on the map to compare, we are moving to an almost empty land on old map, except for these two transport wrecks over there, and we are northeast of Sainte Marie Du Mont town on the main road, right on the spot of new capture point. This new capture point has been named Pierre's farm. It's actually very big and stretched out along the road. It offers some cover in form of hedgerows here and there, but there are a lot of buildings here to form a solid defense because approach this objective is not going to be easy with a lot of open land around it. The fence can also use a small trench on the northern side of the point. Next one in line is even more familiar than the town, and this one is Old Rue de la Guerre, capture point from the old map that was positioned directly in the center of the map. Countless battles have been fought here from all available directions, and the outcomes were from epic victories to disastrous defeats. This location has been really well secured with hedges and stone walls, and compare what we're about to see in a few seconds. Overhauled location is now much easier to approach, as we can see that some of those stone walls on western side have remained in the game. Now this is not a capture point anymore, but in my opinion this position is still going to draw a lot of attention and a lot of fights will happen here because of its strategic positioning. It's very close to the edge of the map, it's very close to two very big and important objectives, it's very close to the main road, and it's halfway between the US starting position and the town. Now, in this same part of the map, there is another very known spot from the old map. This was a common place for both teams to place down garrisons or outposts, no matter if they were defending or attacking, but most of the time it was one big fight between this location and previous one you saw 1 minute ago. This is how this location looks now, with less buildings and more trenches. But more importantly, I think that it will still provide the same service just like before update, because it's very close to one of the capture points, so I think that here we might still find lots of garrisons and outposts. Going towards the next location to compare, and we will again find an empty road on the old version, some bush lines and a lot of empty fields and grasslands. But wait, cause this one is again a proper use of word, overhaul. This location has been made into a new very big capture point, and the name, believe it or not, is Rue de la Guerre. New Rue de la Guerre is positioned practically on the main road, and very close to the original one from the old map. But this one is so much bigger, with lots of new buildings and lots of different and difficult ways to approach this objective. But once you reach those buildings, we could see a lot of surprises, especially with cover from hedgerows and trenches around the point that can give you a good spot for spawn point. Next one up the road to the northeast is Old Capture Point, formerly known as Crossroads. There wasn't much hard cover on this point, with the exception of one small trench line on each side of the road. Now those two trench lines are still there, but now they look much better. They are extended, 2 more trenches have been added. This whole area has been expanded with addition of 1 pillbox and 1 bunker. But On updated map, this area is no longer a capture point. And again, but, in my opinion, we will still see a lot of action around here because it's positioned very close to 2, possibly 4 capture points. If we move a bit west on the map, on this new location we have another uninteresting open lands from older version, but has been overhauled into a new capture point. New capture point is named Cattle Sheds, and as the name suggests, we have 2 big barns here and 1 smaller building, including some interesting gaps in the bush lines. This one also offers some good hiding places for spawn points in the trenches on the point or in the wheat fields around the point, and that goes for both sides, defenders or attackers. And now it is the time to visit one very known building from the D-Day invasion, the Brecourt manor. This was a capture point in the past, and it offered a good chance to fortify this position very good, mainly because of big walls around the buildings and courtyard, and of course the fact that it was positioned very close to the edge of the map. Tall buildings offered a chance to scout for any movement, and as I mentioned big walls, they also offered a possibility to stash a lot of spawn points inside the point. On the new map, apart from visual aspects, there are 2 main differences. Brecourt Manor is no longer a capture point, and apparently after the update you cannot enter the buildings anymore. You cannot go inside the walls. Looks like the owner is renovating. Anyway, I do have some ideas how to enter, and if it works, I'll let you know. And of course, if any one of you managed to enter, let us know that in the comments. For the time being, all we can do is speaking from some vantage point. For the next one, we are going to visit the location of the newly created objective. And as you can see on old version, this location is on the edge of the map with an empty grassland. On the newer version, this has become a big capture point named Brecourt Battery, another famously known location from D-Day. This new cap point has trench network between few AA guns. Buildings around this point will most likely serve as locations for spawn points and connecting points for fortifications placed by defenders. Next location to check out is an old capture point that was named the Battery, and I think it was simply replaced with location we just checked. This one also had some trenches, but much smaller ones, and it was positioned very close to the edge of the map. After update, this location now has more detailed trenches, and in my opinion, it will serve as a preparation for either attack or defense because of its position between 2 objectives. Next one in line is another new capture point, and like a few locations before, we have nothing to hold on to on this location except to notice that we are in the middle of a small crossroad. On new map, right on the same spot, one very big capture point has been established, named Grand Chemin, and it has multiple buildings, sandbags, trenches, bush lines, you name it. In my opinion, especially on offensive game mode, this position on the road right when it narrows between buildings could be a great one for ambushing vehicles. Next location is just northeast of previous one, and it was an old capture point named exactly the same, Grand Chemin. It was a small objective that was positioned very close to US main base. After Overhaul, this same spot is almost the place where US troops are spawning in. You can actually see the artillery guns from here. One building that was in this spot did survive the overhaul, but the stone wall around it didn't. For the next location, we are now moving back to the east part of the map to an only second capture point that was a cap point on old map, and it is still a cap point on the new one. On the old map, this one was named Sunken Lane, and it had a lot of open areas around it with the cover from hedgerows, and it had a few dugout trenches inside the circle. Nowadays, this objective is named the Barn, with new building directly on the point, some trenches to cover each corner and hedgerows just like before the update. For the last location to check it out, we are simply going to check out how the actual crossroad looked before and how it looks now after update 10 Overhaul. If you think that I missed anything, make sure to let me know that in the comments. Feel free to check out more Hell Let Loose content on my channel, hit like, you can also support this channel by subscribing, and if you want to participate in the giveaway to win a copy of Hell Let Loose, check out the link in description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon.